Have you ever noticed that in some Australian words, the t sort of just disappears? Like button doesn't sound like button. It's more like button. Or cotton sounds more like cotton. That little catch in the throat, that's what we're talking about today. That's not an accident, by the way. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why it happens and how to do it yourself. Hi, I'm Amanda, a certified accent specialist, and this is part 3 of my connected speech series. We've already covered consonant to vowel linking and same consonant linking, and today we're moving into something a little bit different. Not linking exactly, but it's another reason why Australian English sounds the way it does. It's called the glottal t, and trust me, after this video, you'll be asking yourself why you didn't notice it sooner. Oh, and by the way, the technical term for this process is glottalisation. So you've now got 3 impressive words to drop at your next party: catenation, gemination, and glottalisation. You're welcome. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the glottal t is, when and why Australians use it, and the 2 specific rules that tell you when a regular t will change into a glottal sound. And I'll also tell you why this matters for the next one, because the glottal t connects directly to something we're covering next, a lesion of t. So stick around. What exactly is a glottal stop? The symbol for it is this. There's actually no letter for it in English, which is part of the reason why it confuses people. You've probably already made this sound today without realizing. Think about the phrase uh-oh, uh-oh, that little hiccup in between the 2 parts, uh-oh. Or think about when you're lifting something heavy, either around the house or at the gym, and you kind of grunt, that brief moment where you cut off the air. Same thing. So, how do you make it? A glottal stop is produced at the glottis, which is down in the larynx, your voice box. You close your vocal cords tightly to block the airflow completely, and then release. It's almost a non-sound. There's no air moving, no tongue placement, no lip shape involved. The mouth position is completely neutral. This happens all in the throat. It's actually technically a plosive sound, just like p, b, t, d, k, and g. The difference is that those plosives are made in the mouth by your lips or tongue. The glottal stop is made in the throat by your vocal cords. Just an FYI, a plosive sound or a stop is a consonant made by completely blocking airflow in the vocal tract and then releasing it suddenly, creating a small explosion of air. So think plosive, explosive. Now, if you've already watched my T-flap video, you'll know that the t has a few different personalities in Australian English. We almost take parts of British English and American English to create our own. So the T-flap is when the t softens in between 2 vowel sounds and a light d appears instead, like in water or better. The glottal t is something different again. Same letter, but completely different mechanism. I'll link the T video up top in case you want to go back and watch that one too. Some British accents, Cockney especially, use the glottal stop very heavily. Think of how a Londoner might say bottle for bottle or water for water. Bottle of water. So Australian English is different. We don't use it as broadly as that. In Australian English, the glottal t appears in specific predictable contexts, and that's what makes it easy to learn. So let's look at when a regular t becomes a glottal t in Australian English. There are 2 main rules. Rule number 1, before a syllabic n. This is the most common one and the one you'll hear constantly. A syllabic n is when the n or n sound forms its own syllable, usually at the end of a word. So instead of a full vowel sound before the n, it just carries a syllable on its own. It's almost like a little schwa sneaks in, actually. Think of words like cotton. Not cotton, it's cotton. The t becomes a glottal catch before the n. Button. Not button, it's button. Frighten. Not frighten, you can say frighten. Beaten. Instead of beaten, you can say beaten. Not certain, it's certain. So say it with me. Cotton, button, frighten, certain. Can you feel where that happens? So it's not your tongue making the t. It's a really kind of brief catch in the throat here. You'll find that your tongue probably does lift up in an attempt to say the t, but it's just lifting for the n at the end because t and n, the tongue touches the same spot. So it's lifting for t, not releasing t, releasing for n instead. Now there is one thing worth mentioning here. For Rule 1 words, you actually have 3 options. Just to make it more confusing. You can use a true t, which is what I've been using, cotton. You can use a T flap, cotton. Or you can use the glottal stop, cotton. All 3 are completely natural in Australian English. Honestly, most speakers use them interchangeably without even thinking about it. I know I do. So don't stress about which one to pick. Just get comfortable with understanding all 3, and over time, you'll find your own natural preference. Rule number 2, between a vowel sound and certain consonants. So when a t sits between a vowel sound and another consonant, the t can become a glottal stop. So, for example, football. The t sits between the vowel in foot and the b of ball, football, not football. Hot dog, not hot dog. Network, not network, network. Notebook instead becomes notebook, notebook. Output, not output, it's output, output. Witness instead of witness, witness. Wanted. You've probably heard this one a lot. This comes up in my classes all the time. Not wanted, it's wanted. That t before the n again catches in the throat. 20. Instead of 20 with that t, you can say 20. Plenty. Instead of plenty, you can say plenty. Say it with me. Football, hot dog, network, notebook, output, witness. Wanted, 20, plenty. So you're not cutting the t out completely. It is a brief compression in the throat, replacing the tongue click of a regular t. Now remember earlier when I said I'd explain why this matters? This is that part. In the next video of the series, we'll be looking at when the t completely disappears at the end of words. That process of dropping sounds is called elision. And it's something that happens in connected speech. A lot of those contexts overlap with what we've just covered here. The glottal t is almost a stepping stone between a full t and no t at all. So when we get to that video, a lot of this will already feel familiar. Alrighty, let's put this into practice. First, just listen, don't try to repeat yet. I'm not certain the network is back up yet. Someone mentioned it before the meeting, but I didn't catch it. I need to check my notebook and send through the output report before the end of the day. Now I'll read it again slowly with the glottal t moments marked. Listen for the catch in the throat. And while you're at it, listen for linking 2, which we looked at in parts 1 and 2 of the series. I'm not certain the network is back up yet. Someone mentioned it before the meeting, but I didn't catch it. I need to check my notebook and send through the output report before the end of the day. Now, shadow along with me at natural speed. I'm not certain the network is back up yet. Someone mentioned it before the meeting, but I didn't catch it. I need to check my notebook and send through the output report before the end of the day. So to recap, the glottal t is the sound, a throat catch that replaces a regular t in specific contexts in Australian English. Rule 1, before a syllabic n, like in cotton, button, certain. Rule 2, between a vowel and certain consonants, like in football, network, and output. You're not dropping the t completely. You're replacing the tongue movement with a catch in the throat. And this is the foundation for the next video, where we look at what happens when t disappears altogether. Now, if you want to go deeper on connected speech and have a structured place to practice all of this with real feedback, I run a 6-month pronunciation program called the Australian Pronunciation Studio. Inside, you'll find comprehensive video lessons, guided practice drills, audio shadowing files, live group sessions, and a community of learners working on exactly this. Doors aren't always open, so head to the link in the description to find out what's inside and when the next round opens. I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.